You're listening to Open Source Tonight for Wednesday, December the 4th, 2019. And I've got my co-host not in studio, Billy Everso.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. This has been a technical difficulty episode. We have experienced technical difficulty after technical difficulty. Billy is currently remote. Yeah, Billy is currently remote and not local, which is what remote is. So
if you don't know that, then why are you watching or listening?
Yeah. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about, as usual, the latest and greatest in open source software. I started to say open source hardware. I mean, that is a thing in some situations anyway, but we ain't got nothing on that today. But we're going to be talking about a bunch of cool stuff today, as always. And let's just hop into the news this week with this streaming service that now works on Linux. Disney Plus will now work on Linux with no no workarounds required. What do you think about that, Billy?
That sounds good. So for all those people who use Linux and like Disney, they'll be able to use it now.
Exactly. So that's great. Disney, like I said, I like the nostalgia, so I definitely went ahead and subscribed just to see what it was like. And I actually found out about this before the news article even came out. No joke. Because I was because I just got this weird feeling about 11 a.m. yesterday to pull up Disney Plus in a Linux machine on Chrome, just out of curiosity with my account, and just see what happens. And you know what happened? It worked.
That's good news right there for them.
So I found out about this before the news articles, and then when I searched around and nobody wrote an article about this yesterday, and I'm thinking, is this temporary and they accidentally switched the DRM level down so it would work, and now they're going to notice it and be like, oops, but apparently it was an intentional change, so I'm very happy. So,
you discovered it before anybody.
Yes. Well, probably not anybody, but I discovered it pretty early on.
Not the ones who created the program for it.
Wow. Of course, Disney knew they changed it before I did. Duh. But
you know what I meant.
Yeah, I know. I think I was probably pretty quickly on there around when they first changed. I wonder how long ago this has been, but I'm very glad to see that it's working now natively on Linux. This whole thing, like I said before, was just a DRM setting, and I guess Disney Plus thought maybe they didn't want to lose those paying customers, right, on Linux. And to quote Justin Garrison on Twitter, looks like hashtag Disney Plus is working on Linux now. Now Linux desktop users can enjoy hashtag Baby Yoda like everybody else. Which, speaking of which, I have not seen the Star Wars thing yet, The Mandalorian, but I gotta say, I want to because Baby Yoda's adorable.
I still need to sign up for it to watch it.
There you go. And then another Twitter user posted well, actually, is this Justin? Okay, this is a different Justin. Justin Niersen, I think. I apologize about pronouncing your last name. And then they responded, can confirm, and then responded to that tweet. So apparently this is a thing, according to the tweets. I guess it looks to me like that. It just says software engineer on this guy's Twitter, so it makes me wonder, is he actually a software engineer for Disney? Because it doesn't say who his employer is. And if that's the case, that might make sense. Because, I mean, Disney, we should check and see, because I don't think that... Let's see here. I'm looking at the article here to see. I don't think Disney has officially said that it was supposed to. Actually, no. Justin is an engineer for the streaming service. So there you go. He actually did post about it. So that's great. So yay! Disney intentionally did this. I'm so happy. So now I can go back and watch the old Toy Story whenever I want. Yeah! Can't wait for them to put Toy Story 4 out there. Because I'm an adult kid, people. Come on. Toy Story is like the best movie ever. It's so heartwarming. Yeah. Every time I watch one of the Toy Stories, it makes me want to cry. Anyway.
I heard the newest one, the last one that they made, is supposed to be one of the saddest.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, but Toy Story 3 was pretty darn sad. Like, if they top that, then I'm going to be bawling my eyes out watching this on Disney Plus and be like, oh my God, this is so sad. Anyway, that was my attempt to fake cry for you. But I'll probably be doing that for real. But, right now, Toy Story 4, as far as I know, is not out on Disney Plus. I haven't actually checked, though. Maybe they put it out recently. You never know. But I think they were supposed to wait like 6 months before movies came out on Disney Plus from their movie release date. So anyways, moving on in the news, because while that's great, there's more news in the world than Disney Plus, even though Disney might disagree.
Next to the news.
Yep. Elementary OS 5.1 has been released. So for Elementary OS users, this is a great day for you because you have a new Linux distro to try out. This is a major update to Elementary OS. So, there you go. It includes a bunch of new changes, including native support for Flatpaks, a faster app center, which they spelled the British way. Oh, I forgot this is a British article. That's why they're spelling it the British way. Wow, I'm really great at this. Among other changes, I like how this article points out it's a free update for existing users. This isn't Windows. It was already a free update. It's a free OS. And hey, I mean, I guess it's good for people that are new to Linux. Maybe they don't realize it's free. I don't know. Good to clarify these things, I suppose. But they got a new, what looks to be login screen. And I have to say, they are really making it look like Mac OS. This is a very Mac OS screenshot, if you ask me. Do you see the screenshot on your screen, Billy? What I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I see it. Looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it does. But doesn't it look like something Apple would design?
Yeah.
I thought so too. So anyway, yeah. So there you go. That's pretty cool. Some of the changes. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, why don't you just tell them about the changes?
That's what I was about to do. So some of the changes that are in this version include a new first run experience and onboarding tool that will load when you first open Elementary OS on the first use. So that's on your first use. It will pop that up. Different distros do it. Right now, Ubuntu does it. And, same kind of thing. Just letting you know what it has in the OS and, common settings you can change, software you can download easy, stuff like that. I think it's always a good thing to have that in a distro like Elementary OS, which is targeting new users of Linux, even though I would argue Elementary OS I don't really like it. It's all right. I run it on one of my machines, but to me, I think stock Ubuntu is more fun to play with, and for new users, Linux Mint's probably better, but these are all opinions. You're welcome to disagree. Flatpak support has been added, which, if you know my opinion on Flatpaks, I don't really care much for them, but again, if you want to use Flatpaks in your OS, they have it built right in natively in Elementary OS's 5.1 release, and I'm assuming future releases will have it too. Their greeter, as I said earlier, has been redesigned. They've added some new accessibility features, so it doesn't really tell me what those accessibility features are in the article here, but I'm hoping that that means that people, that can't see or whatever other disabilities I'm trying to think of can't hear, have different accessibility features built into the OS now to make it easier for them to use it. That's been a sore spot for Linux, is accessibility. Some distros don't do it very well, to say the least, unfortunately. At least from what I can gather. To be fair, I'm not got any disabilities, so can't really say for sure, but it just seems like that. App updates. That's literally all it says here. I'm just reading the article. It says app updates. I guess that just means updates to like built-in system apps. I'm assuming that's what they meant. Keyboard shortcuts. Again, I'm assuming new keyboard shortcuts. And they shipped a new Linux kernel. So that's pretty cool. It's built on Elementary OS. I started to say Elementary OS is built on Elementary OS. Elementary OS is built on top of Ubuntu 18.04's LTS release, which I find to be very stable. In fact, I'm using the machine that I'm talking to you on right now to run that, and also on a separate machine to record everything, because I tried to do it on one machine and it had problems today. The slate of system settings panels have been changed around, so that's always pretty cool. So I'm happy to hear that. There's a bunch of different improvements here, so that's pretty cool. I'm glad to see that Elementary OS has definitely made some pretty cool updates. Again, it's not my OS, but definitely for those that want a slick UI and very close attention to detail Linux distro, Elementary OS and Deepin OS are both really good distros for that. So if you like Elementary OS, check out the new download. Moving on in the news, Firefox 71 is now available. They've just recently released this, and this update comes with some pretty cool stuff, including native MP3 decoding support for Windows, Mac, and Linux systems built right into the open source build. This is a very big feature, of course, because the patents on MP3 is expired, so they can't be sued for putting that in the source code now. So I think that's great, because MP3 is still used in a lot of audio. In fact, we ship the episodes of this podcast as MP3s. So guess what? You can listen to our podcast natively with this implementation on Firefox if you want to test it out. That's a plug for our show and for the code. Isn't that great, Billy?
Very good plug.
That's a very good plug, yes. Another cool feature that I thought was very interesting about this when I read the story was Firefox 71 is adding a new kiosk mode, and this is really cool. I like Chrome's kiosk mode. It's kind of cool. I wish that they would improve it, though. It's not perfect, in my opinion. But the kiosk mode in Firefox, it seems to be pretty cool. So I definitely would like to see what they do with it, but it's going to be pretty cool from the sounds of it. So I'll have to be downloading that and trying it out. But again, if you want to check out the full release notes, we will be putting them in the description of the YouTube video, or if you're listening to the podcast, it will be in the description of the podcast episode, and feel free to please check that out, and it will tell you all the other cool stuff they've shipped, because they have a bunch of cool stuff. Another thing that's pretty cool is picture-in-picture video support has been added for Windows. I don't know if that's the OS or for the window of the thing. Let me click on it. I think this is for the Windows OS. So this is not particularly interesting to our Linux users that are probably listening, but I'm sure there's like a whole one Windows user listening somewhere.
Probably.
Who knows? I'm kidding. There may be more than one Windows user. But what I do know is that, you know, I think Firefox's new update is pretty cool. Oh, and apparently Mozilla says that they will be shipping the picture-in-picture mode on Linux. This is useful in January of 2020, so in an update coming then. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm assuming you know what picture-in-picture is, Billy. Isn't that a great thing they're going to add?
Sounds like a very good feature.
Yeah. Do you ever use the picture-in-picture mode in Chrome, which is already in there to watch videos like that?
Anytime I ever logged on the Chrome and stuff like that, it would have, I was like watching YouTube and I had something else to do, it'll let me drag it down and still watch.
All right, so you've played with it before. Do you like that? Do you think that's something that's useful?
It's very useful.
Yeah, I haven't really used it much, but just today I thought I'd try it on Chrome, and I will say it's pretty cool because you can like be watching a video and then be reading a news story at the same time, and you know you can just have the video in the corner there. And a lot of the videos I listen to are mostly like non-really visual videos, stuff that you could easily just put in the corner and occasionally glance at when they say something you need to see. And the rest of the time, it's probably okay to look away for some of them. So I think for videos like that, if you want to be doing something else at the same time, it's perfect. So maybe not can watch YouTube while reading code or something. Now I can get more YouTube watching into my day while I'm writing code, right?
How do I do this difficult code? Let me just watch this video.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right. Anyway, no, I'm not going to do that. But anyway, Canonical, or probably won't do that. You know, who knows? Maybe I'll try it. But I don't think that I would be able to write code and do that at the same time. I kind of need to focus on the code. But anyway, moving on to our next story. Canonical, the people that make Ubuntu, is launching Ubuntu Pro for Amazon Web Services, which I got to say, the Ubuntu Pro part alone, just that sounds like something Apple would call their OS at this point, because Apple they put the name Pro on everything at this point. So at Apple, so I think that the quote premium version of Ubuntu, you know, it's it looks like this is going to be per paid release, I think. Allow enterprises to purchase extended maintenance among other things in these. So this is geared, as the article implies, at people using AWS. This is not a build for desktop users. So Ubuntu for desktop is still free, and they still have regular Ubuntu server for free as well. So you can still run servers with Ubuntu. This is just if you would like a support contract, you know. So they're pretty much taking on Red Hat here with support contracts. So what do you think? Do you think this means Red Hat's going to see a decline in their sales?
It's a 50-50 shot at that. We'll just have to wait and see.
I think that they might actually see a decline because we've already seen declines at this point to a point, and I do think we could possibly see more declines for Red Hat's sales figures. But you never know. Maybe it won't actually be that bad, but I have a feeling that it could hurt them a little bit. Which, I mean, they're owned by IBM right now, so I think as long as they're making enough money for IBM to keep them around, we probably don't have to worry about the Red Hat family of Linux builds going away anytime soon. But that's something to keep in mind. Also, something interesting that we're going to move to here that Billy might find interesting is Linux Mint 13. Linux Mint 19.3. I put the 3 and the 1 together and skipped the 9 there. But Linux Mint 19.3 beta is now available to download. So, Billy, what do you think about that? Do you think that's pretty cool?
I'm looking at the screenshot right now. They actually look a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking through to see what has changed here. Says that they have got new features and revamped artwork, so that's great. I'm looking to see what artwork that is. What artwork are they referencing? Do you have any idea? Does it say in the article?
I think it just means like the logo and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they did that in their. They did the redid the Linux Mint logo a while back. I'm guessing this is the first Linux distro build that they've shipped with it built in. Is probably what they're talking about. But let's see here. It says Cinnamon 4.4.2 has been updated, which of course is at the heart of the Linux Mint release. And this right here, it says is going to bring bug fixes and stability improvements. So they don't expect to see any new user-facing features. So that's what I thought. It looked like it was basically the same as before. Linux Mint, when you don't change the major version number on there, it's just like with most software projects. There's not really that much change. So I think this is expected behavior. So, Billy, what do you think about betas? Would you run a Linux Mint beta?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm willing to take the plunge and try a beta out. I don't know. I mean, not on my main machine, but maybe on a spare machine just to tinker with, maybe. Yeah. But honestly, I don't even really see what would be worth upgrading to this for other than just to give them bug reports. Because, like they said, really other than stability stuff and stuff like that, it doesn't seem like there's bug fixes. It doesn't seem like there's any changes. So to me, it seems like, well, unless you're having specific problems with the current release, I don't see the reason to move to this right now. I'd probably wait until the new release comes out. But They do have some new apps they're shipping. They're shipping a Celereld, I think it is, a user front-end font, or user front-end, a friendly user front to the MPV video player thing, and something called G-Note, which will replace Tomboy, so that's a Note app. And then the third app that they're shipping is something that's similar to Microsoft Paint called Drawing. So that actually I'd kind of like to play with. I suck at drawing, but it would be kind of fun just to try it out. So.
I like to play around with the drawing app on any kind of computer.
Yeah, well, it never hurts to.
It has like a mirror feature, especially if it has like a mirror feature.
Yeah.
Honest.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Apparently, there's also, on this article, there's apparently also a clone of Microsoft Paint, an open source clone that is web-based that you can actually take a look at. And I just opened it up in my browser, and it looks literally identical to Windows 98 Paint, or maybe Windows 2000, or even maybe, I don't think it looks like XP. It would look like XP if it had the classic theme on it, I suppose. But I thought that was actually pretty cool. So there you go. I'm going to look at the source of this later because I definitely want to see how they're doing this. Probably using Canvas or something. So that is so cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you think? You want to download that app?
Sure.
You're like, sure. Well, I don't think do they have a download version of it? I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure it's just web-based. I thought for a second they said they had an Electron version in their thing. Oh, actually, we've started work on a desktop app version of it built with Electron, but there's no releases yet. So, okay, apparently there will be a desktop version of this in the future, but right now it's just a web app. But that being said, it seems pretty cool, and I'm not really sure if you really would have to have this in a non-web app. So, pretty cool stuff, yeah. Ask me. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Continuing on in the news today, getting towards the end of our news for the week, how to hide mounted drives in Ubuntu 19.10. This is not really as much of a news story, but well, actually, I don't know why we talk about this. Never mind. This is not even a news story. Never mind. Yeah, so that right there is our news, and this week we don't really have anything else. We didn't plan a topic for this week. So Billy, what should we talk about for the rest of the show?
Not sure.
Well, not sure is a great answer.
I did see on our rundown sheet that you had something about supercomputers.
That was from last week. I didn't remove it. Yeah, sorry about that. So, yeah, I mean, we're through with the whole thing. I guess this is a good time to point out this will probably be our shortest episode for a while. The other thing I want to point out as well is that Billy's audio, you've probably been able to hear, is not the best. Unfortunately, we did not know he was going to do this remote, or I would have sent him a better mic because we've not had the best audio from him. But it's intelligible. I ask you to please try and get through it. My apologies to headphone users. That's where you'll probably notice the background noise from his audio the most. I put a gate on it so when he doesn't talk that you can't hear it. What, Billy?
I'll probably get myself a better mic soon.
Yeah, Yeah. So I would get you like one of those Logitech headsets. Those are really good to do a clear remote on, and they're cheap. So probably in your budget. If not, I think I might have one I could send you. Worst case scenario. But another thing I want to point out: we now have a YouTube channel for the radio station. This is hosted on live every week, Eastern Kentucky Indie Radio. You can visit us online at eastkyradio.com. You can visit us on YouTube as well. Just look up Eastern Kentucky Indie Radio. We also have a Facebook and a SoundCloud page now, and so that's pretty cool. So you can check us out there throughout the week on the, or me and my stuff throughout the week on the radio station and the radio station stuff in general. And in addition to that, you should always listen live. Again, easternkyradio.com. Or is it? No, it's eastkyradio.com. So eastkyradio.com, please take a listen. And I think we're just going to end the show a little early today. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in. Until next week, this is Vincent and Billy. Billy, where can they find you online? Facebook, I'm assuming, right?
Facebook, yep.
Yep. All right. So they can. All right, great. So look up Billy Everso on Facebook. And also just a big shout out to Billy and my friend Carmen for assisting with the management of the Facebook page for the radio station. Thanks so much for being managers on it. Really appreciate that. In addition to that, you can find me throughout the week on YouTube at youtube.com/Vincent Maggard. You can find me at vincentmaggard.dev if you need software development. And what was the other thing? Oh, I almost forgot to mention one thing I want to plug. Last week, I was on Saturday, a show called Switch to Linux on YouTube. They have over 500,000 subscribers, if I remember correctly, at the time of being on the air. And I did promote the show on there. So if you're coming from there, thank you very much. Been a big fan of Switch to Linux for years. I do want to point out, though, that I don't fully agree with Tom on everything. And, I got to say, the way he talked about Greta, I'm not trying to shame anybody here, but I just, to me, I would not have done the same thing. But again, I was on his show, so we did comment on it. But again, no disrespect to Greta. I think her wanting to, make the climate a better place for everybody is a good thing. Okay, anyway, but I think that covers everything for this week's episode of Open Source Tonight. Again, check out that episode of Weird News on Switch to Linux. It is going to get a little bit not safe for work at times, so be aware of that. If you are watching this at work, don't. Thank you. Also, just so you know, some of the stories, like I said, I don't agree with in it, specifically the main ones being the Greta story. And I try to voice my opinions the best I can there with Tom. Tom is a very good guy. And again, I'm not dogging him. I'm just saying that we have different opinions. And, there are some things I wouldn't necessarily agreed with on that he said.
Everyone's allowed their own opinion.
That's exactly correct. Also, I want to point something else that's really great for our listeners. If you are a fan of Tom from Switch to Linux like I am, even if you don't agree with him on everything, which is, probably most people, it's hard to find someone that agrees with you on everything. Well, Tom has actually, off the air, he agreed to join us on Open Source Tonight for an episode in the future, ladies and gentlemen. Woohoo! We have Tom on the air with us in a future episode. So tune in for that. If you have not subscribed, please do so, because you do not want to miss that episode. That is going to be an awesome episode. I have a feeling, so you're definitely going to want to listen to that. But anyways, folks, that will conclude our episode of Open Source Tonight, and this is Vincent and Billy signing off. Until next week, you've been listening to Open Source Tonight. Check us out at opensourcetonight.com. Goodbye, everybody.